Hello and welcome to the Gambling Files podcast, the podcast that, like Coolio, has never killed a man that didn't deserve it. I'm one of your hosts, John Bruford, joined by your other host, Fintan Costello. Fintan, hello. What?
I'm just laughing at the Coolio thing. It brought back a memory.
What, about my great Coolio story?
No, about Fintan singing Gangster's Paradise in karaoke and completely forgetting about it until the next day when somebody said, you really didn't know the words to Gangster's Paradise, did you? And I'm like, what? And then it all came flooding back.
Wow.
Yeah. And apparently I did my Ace of Spades and Gangster's Paradise combo.
That is a hell of a combination.
It is.
My mate Gareth, he did Firestarter on the karaoke on the end of Brighton Pier. Knocked it out of the park, went outside, bought a whole roast chicken, ate the whole thing, and went on a bunch of the fairground rides there. He doesn't remember any of it because he'd done some acid about 2 hours before.
Very in keeping with the Prodigy.
I think so, yeah. I think he was 100% on brand. Also, for our group of friends, he just completely, yeah, very solid branding.
Fair play to
him. So how are you?
I'm good. Yeah. Energy levels are good. Busy. Getting shit done. Kicking ass. Taking names.
Brilliant. I'm not so much.
No.
I have had a very, very productive week.
That's good.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying I produced anything for value. I just, you moved
your office.
I have moved my office, and that's good. That's both good and bad.
Okay.
I'm in Annie's old bedroom. So good times, sad times.
Gotcha.
But it is really nice having a room where I can shut the door so the cat isn't going to jump on my desk. And the dog, you might notice.
I haven't heard the dog lapping at his water bowl.
See?
I can just hear the birds chirping.
It's like I've become more professional as a result of moving into this room.
Nice.
Well, I mean, it's all relative though, isn't it? So right, I got really fat again. Yeah, it's not really the right time to agree with me, but okay.
Sorry.
But I did though. I've put fucking loads of weight on in like 3 months.
Good effort.
It turns out all you've got to do is do high fat and high carb. And it's
combo, mate.
It's weight gain central. But I found there's a Substack that I follow, a lady called, hang on, I've got to find it, Kay Stratton, and she's done this Substack piece called "Words We Need to Use More." One of them is a very rude word, but
there are a lot already.
I do use that an awful lot already. But the last one in the more acceptable list is, I'm just going to read you what, and I'm going to butcher the pronunciation of this. This does bring me to the last word, which to be fair is German, but I think as we have no alternative, we should use it. Use it freely, widely, hell, overuse it. Kummerspeck. Its literal translation is grief bacon. And broadly means excess weight gained due to emotional eating. I have been eating a lot of grief bacon the last few months.
I've definitely had periods in my life where I've been gorging the grief bacon trough.
Seriously. And it's like, I've been ruminating on this massive and really rapid weight gain.
Yeah.
And then this fucking email lands in my inbox. I'm like, oh, I love that Germany has a word for it and that it involves bacon.
They've got a word for everything.
Yeah, they have. They've got some good words in German. And I brought it up with a German native speaker earlier, and they advised me on the pronunciation of it, and I've forgotten it, which is really bad. But it being German, it's probably something like kummerspeck. Did you ever see that video that was doing the rounds online? And it was words in English, French, Italian, and German.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But the German one, it was always done really, really aggressively and shouty. But it was very funny and very, very silly. And of course, that's not the German language at all. So I'll get my coat. Speaking of the German language, this hasn't got anything to do with it at all. But I went to Every Matrix's new offices.
Oh yeah, in London.
Yeah.
How was it?
Well, now I've done some schmoozy trips in my time.
Yeah.
But they knocked it out the fucking park.
Yeah.
I mean, like, and like, I'm not much of a schmoozer.
No, you're not. You're a lone panther, lone sexual panther,
solitary panther.
Solitary panther. That's it.
I have no breeding mate. I'm confined to Panther Menage a Un for life. That's how solitary I am. So great crowd, people. I mean, it was like a media couple of days. So, God, crikey. There's a couple of folks there from G3, from SBC, from I mean, all over the place.
All the major trade press.
Yeah, and there were a lot of presentations. I've got to be honest, the presentations were a lot to take in because they were one after another kind of thing.
But they do so much is the challenge there. Right? So
but their growth, right? The Every Matrix growth is friggin' 40%. 40% growth? I nearly shouted, this must be a Ponzi scheme.
Please say you didn't.
I didn't, luckily. And I'd never say it in public. No, but no, the growth is absolutely extraordinary. Of course, it's a privately held company as well, which I'm absolutely positive helps.
Yeah, because you can make the right long-term decisions. Or it helps make long-term decisions. It doesn't mean you make...
But also it helps you to pivot quickly if something isn't going right.
Yeah, exactly.
So that was all really interesting. I got to meet Mark Schmidt in person.
Ah, brilliant. He got a big promo as well, I think.
Yeah. He's like the top dude now. But he's absolutely lovely, even lovelier than you'd think. In fact, looks-wise as well, he's like a poor man's Nathan Fillion. Now, I should have realised that you're not going to know who that is. Firefly? No. Never mind. Handsome, talented American actor.
Straight out of Central Casting. Got it.
But basically,
square jaw, good looking.
Looks a bit like Mark Schmidt. you know the guy.
There we go. Right, this guy's a poor version of Mark Smith. Is what
that works much better for our purposes.
There we go.
And then we went out for a meal in the evening to a local Peruvian restaurant.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Where I actually had one of the best restaurant meals I've ever had. It was extraordinarily good. I mean, it was just unreal. Like, you know that. Well, there were about, and I'm not exaggerating, there were about 20 courses. And I said to the lady bringing the food out, I said, look, I don't eat vegetables and stuff. I said, can I have some more of that meat? And she said, there's loads coming. There's loads more meat coming. But she said, at the end, after the steak, if you still want more meat, I'll bring you more meat and I'll pay for it myself. I'm like, okay, let's see where this goes. I did eat some vegetables, as it turns out. I had the most extraordinary aubergine I've ever eaten. And in fact, in the morning when we all met up again, everybody was talking about the aubergine. And that's not a euphemism. They were actually talking about actual aubergine. It was just unbelievably good, and
Mm.
the steak was perfect. And luckily, everybody else was too full by then, so I just the lady just put the steak in front of me, and I'm like, that's great thing. But an absolutely breathtakingly good meal,
Brilliant.
really stunningly brilliant. And then the next day, we all went to Newmarket races,
Oh,
where I donated some money to the horse racing industry.
nice.
Yeah, that
It's good
went
to give
well.
back.
Yeah, I thought, I'm constantly reading about their struggles.
Yeah,
Let's
yeah.
see if I can prop them up a little.
Well, on course bookies have got a tough time. Um,
But it was excellent. It was a VIP box, which, as I'm sure you're aware, I've never done before.
oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, it's good fun. It's good fun.
Yeah, you see,
I do.
But it was phenomenal. I mean, the service was extraordinary. But the event was terrific as well. I mean, it was a Friday, and a Friday before one of the huge Saturdays at Newmarket. And yeah, it was pretty damn special. And then on the train home, there was some kind of engineering works outside Bristol, and I missed the last train back.
Oh, no.
Yes, that went well. So, right, getting this taxi that the train company have supplied, so far so good. There's this other dude in the back as well, who's also missed the same connection. And I said to the driver, it's like 11:30 on a Friday night in Newport. Newport to where I need to get to, it's at least an hour. I said to him, I am not going to tell anybody if you break the speed limit. And at one point, I was so tempted to ask him if it was miles per hour or kilometres per hour on the speedometer. But I thought, I probably don't want to know. I should probably just be grateful that it's dark outside.
Just keep going. Keep going. It's
Yeah.
not your
So
license.
it was an adventure. Let's put it that way. Yeah. But beautiful, great offices, great location in Shoreditch. Lots of people with, beards and stuff around.
Check shirts, that kind of thing. Plaid.
Yeah, saw some of those. Saw some good sandals.
Nice. Birkenstocks. That kind of
Yeah,
thing.
yeah. But it is a nice area, and I met some great people. It was a really nice team.
Yeah, they're a good bunch. They're a really good
And the lady that put it all together, I think it's Bianca. I mean, she just did an amazing job. I think everybody just felt like they just had a really nice time. Really good group of people.
It's tough organizing events like that and getting everybody together, and like there's
Yeah.
a lot of work goes into that. But it's really cool that they've done that. I like it.
Yeah, it's very. I think it was very successful for them. And looking at the coverage they've had across social media as well from people that were there, I think they've done all right. In fact, I've used at least one of the pictures on our publicity where the wind had changed and I was unfortunately caught doing a fart face. Speaking of which, we need to thank our benevolent sponsors. Our godlike sponsors, in fact, in no particular order. I'm going to start with Clarion Gaming. They've got IGB Live coming up early July at Excel in London. Are you going to be there?
Yes, I want to say, but I'm just thinking. I booked a trip to Australia. When is? I should know. When is the IGB Live?
It's really early July. It's like July
it's
the
early
3rd
July.
or something, I think.
Oh, then I'm good.
Yeah, it's definitely early July.
Yeah, 2nd and 3rd. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Before the start of summer holidays. Yes, I shall be there in force.
Yeah, there's a chance I might be there as well. So maybe we can do something.
Maybe we could do dinner. Maybe do lunch.
Maybe. I don't know. But yeah, anybody listening wants to meet.
If we're in Canary Wharf, I know a great steak place.
You just know steak places, and I know where McDonald's are.
Oh, I know you like me. Could have entice you with the good stuff.
And also, I've got to lose this excess again. I swear I had cheekbones before, or nearly.
No. It's like a guard away there, John. Yes, you did.
You are such a bastard. I know when I've gotten really, really fat because I lose the dimple in my chin. It just reaches this mass.
Pops back out. Shrapnel. That's a toothpaste everywhere.
Yeah, you laugh, but it's a thing. So, benevolent sponsors Clarion Gaming. We also have the delightful and extremely successful, I think it's fair to say, Optimove. Kings of the CRM wasteland. It's not a wasteland. But I was leaning into like a dystopian Mad Max style future in which they rule the petrochemical industry. It worked much better in my head.
Yeah, you need to workshop this, John. You need to workshop it. That didn't.
Well, this is what happens when you work on your own all day. Do you know what I mean?
I can imagine.
Cat's not giving me much feedback.
Yeah,
although he did give me all of his food back earlier because he threw up all over the ground. Nice. Yeah. So food back and feedback. Yeah.
Gambling industry's number one CRM system.
Number one. EGR Power 50.
Use it or lose it. If you're not using it, your competitors are, and they're making more money.
That's it. And book the demo. I mean, it's a no-brainer. You get a demo, it's not going to hurt. But I'm very confident that you'll be very impressed by them. Yep. And last but not least, the aforementioned Every Matrix / Odds Matrix.
Yep, their brand new shiny London office, which is part of their global empire of offices.
Empire.
They're
Although, should you use empire in that sort of... I mean, empire, it does have negative connotations.
Yeah, okay. Globocorp. I don't know.
We're better than you.
Yeah,
sorry, I was thinking, of course, of Globo Gym from Dodgeball.
They've got bombardment. Yeah, they've got boots on the ground everywhere. They don't say it, but I'm going to say it on their behalf. I reckon world's number one white label sportsbook provider.
It can't be far off. And the fact that so many people are...
Prove me wrong. Prove me wrong in the comments. Bring it.
But the fact that so many businesses are turning to them, I think that's the most telling thing that you can possibly have as your marketing tool. It's like...
I can't think of anybody that comes close. And again, book the demo, see for yourself. It does everything. It can handle there's nothing you can give them that they can't handle.
I did grab some Every Matrix notepads when nobody was looking.
Nice.
Well, they were on some of the seats, but people weren't using those seats, so I thought those notebooks might be available. Mm-hmm. It's a nice notebook, Fintan, and I'm using an Every Matrix pen right now.
Ooh.
I mean, it's not quite up there with the cappuccino with my face on, but it's not bad.
Good. You gotta do what you gotta do.
Too right. All that said, our guest on today's episode is Antti Koivula of Legal Gaming, bringing us up to date on things in Finland. A massive market, a small amount of people, and a regulator that's trying to avoid all the problems that it's seen all around it. What's going to happen there?
And it's going to happen fast. So applications in, legislation passed soon.
Yeah, you might want to start the forms right now.
Get ready. It's coming.
Yeah. So, meet the lovely returning guest, Antti. We're very happy to welcome this week's guest, the returning guest, the legendary Antti Koivula of Legal Gaming fame. Regular listeners will remember Antti from he's done quite a few appearances, hasn't he?
Sure has.
Always talking about Finland, not Fintan. Many similarities.
Both full of Lonkara.
Both Sorry. What?
Lonkara, it's a Finnish, it's gin and juice. It's basically the Finnish
gin and tonic.
Drink. No, it's not tonic. It's grapefruit juice.
Are you correcting the Finnish person here?
I am, because it's not tonic.
Fuck me.
And, but you can get it on tap, basically. And it's it's nectar.
Antti's probably got a cup of it with him now, and you're correcting him.
It's probably in his mug.
Has he got a mug?
Cheers, guys.
Look at that. What a setup.
Beautiful.
What a setup.
And thanks for having me again. I mean, this must be fourth time or something like that.
At least. But I mean, Finland's been such a peculiarity because you've got the devolution from the monopoly model, but it's sort of things seem to happen really, really quickly and then slow right down.
And then you've also got this nice thing of like Finland is probably the backbone of the European casino industry, online casino industry that nobody really talks about. So there's a lot riding on this Finnish regulation and what's about to happen for a lot of companies.
Yeah, but
So where are we at?
well, things are moving. The bill is currently under the parliamentary review in subcommittees, and the official aim is to have it pass the parliament by next month and a half, so by midsummer.
Oh wow!
So well, it is not to be anticipated that the government's proposal that was introduced a few months ago, that too much will be, changed to it, if anything at all. Actually, at the moment, it looks like that it will remain the same. So basically, the law is more or less already known, at least the big picture. Obviously, there are still certain nuances and specifics which are to be specified at a later stage on a decree level or by the regulator. But we still have to wait some time for that. But yes, things are moving. Finland is regulating. The new law will enter into force in parts from the beginning of 26. B2B licensing process will begin. From the beginning of 27, licensed B2C operators will be allowed to commence their operations legally in Finland and advertise in Finland. Also from the beginning of 27, B2B licensing begins, and from the beginning of 28, licensed B2C operators are allowed to use only licensed B2B operators. So this is where we currently stand with the schedule.
Okay, so it feels very sensible. Okay, so there's obviously just a bit of a delay between today and 2027 if you're an operator.
Yeah.
But that kind of cooling off period is quite normal.
Yeah, I must be crystal clear with this. Finnish legislation doesn't include a cooling off period, as in the sense of they had in the Netherlands or in certain other countries.
Okay.
That being said, there is a provision included in the proposed Gambling Act that if an operator has received a prohibition order or certain other sanctions after 1st of September 24, and in the past 3 years, they wouldn't be considered as eligible applicants. Now you are probably wondering from where the 1st of September 24 comes. It's nowhere. It's just taken from someone's hat, and it only affects one operator at all. Can you guess which one?
I'm just going to say Betson.
BML Group Ltd.
Who is that, Betson?
Yeah, it's their subsidiary under which the Finnish brands were a few years ago. Not anymore, but anyway. They actually included that date to the law, and you can just wonder where it comes from.
Sorry, because they had a bad time in the Netherlands as well. So, okay, that's super interesting.
But anyway, no cooling off. But you cannot be caught pants off while or during this transition period.
Okay, so operators then are just going to operate as normal, then apply for licensing, and then switch to being licensed, or either shut down or become a licensed operator in 27. Is kind of the
more or less. I mean, it's going to be interesting if the regulator or the enforcement agency, the National Police Board, if they will if they will be more active during the transition period, because obviously the threat is there. If they would impose a prohibition order for someone, they wouldn't be eligible for getting a license. They haven't been that active against operator. I mean, at least when it comes to prohibition orders, we still have got only 3 of those in Finland. And well, it remains to be seen if they'll step up the activity against operators.
Why? I'm sorry if this is a stupid question. Why are there only 3 prohibition orders to date?
the NPP would be the correct entity to answer to this, but I would say that the enforcement procedure in Finland, it's not the strictest one in the world. There's lots of responsibilities stemming from the administrative law, which cause delays and makes them more lenient in practice. And it's also the enforcement agencies, the NPPs. I guess it must have something to do with their mindset as well. That's for sure. But 2 of those prohibition orders, they were imposed against Curacao-based lottery operators who were basically force selling lottery subscriptions by phone to Finnish customers, and it wasn't possible to cancel those subscriptions, but the bills just came in for the customers, and there was no way to avoid that, and there was obviously lots of public discussion regarding that, and then obviously the infamous BML Group Ltd's case a few years ago. So those are the only 3 cases.
So hang on, right? So 3 prohibition orders, 2 of which were against some really dodgy lottery people. So who's the third one against? Is that against who you were talking about earlier, BML?
Yep.
Wow, you've obviously got to really go some to get one of those.
Yeah, it's a fair assessment that in a sense you really have to make an effort. Obviously, there's been lots of ongoing investigation and ongoing proceedings. There still are, but no one else has managed to actually get a prohibition.
I bet we could get one, Fintan.
Yeah, you just have to start running some casino operations first, but or maybe some marketing towards Finland. That would be maybe an easier take for you guys.
Fintan, you could do that.
No, thanks. Not anymore. Okay, so in terms of the bill under parliamentary review, so we've got kind of timelines of licensing, B2B, B2C, okay, every supplier needs to be licensed by this date, etc. From a marketing perspective, so in some kind of like in Ontario, there was restrictions around offering bonuses. Some countries, there's always debates around affiliates in or out. In terms of the current legislation, how's it looking from a marketing perspective?
Well, online marketing will be heavily restricted. Most notably, there's an affiliate ban. It's still possible that it will be lifted, but the time is running out from the clock. There's heavy bonus restrictions as well, and it basically goes through all online marketing, lots of restrictions. But when it comes to offline marketing through traditional media like newspapers, TV, and radio, there's close to no restrictions as well. Obviously, there are still certain restrictions, but it's relatively liberal. So it's when I'm actually reading the bill, the law itself and the preparatory materials, it's really easy to spot who have been, actively lobbying and which section comes from which direction. I mean, I appreciate the fact that this is how the world functions, but it really shouldn't be.
Yeah. If you're a politician, you don't want to piss off the newspapers. So I'm sure there's an election at some point coming up. Okay, so that's really interesting. So in terms of heavy online restrictions, potential affiliate ban, is there not obviously the Finnish government looks to Sweden a lot for inspiration. There's massive offshore casino gambling in Sweden. Germany's a near neighbor, same issues, massive offshore things. Are they not worried that sophisticated Finnish gamblers are going to go, screw this, let's go get massive bonuses offshore and crack on?
I would say that basic problem here is lack of knowledge, lack of understanding how important the bonuses are for players, how important customer acquisition channel affiliates are, and all that. It's not. I appreciate the fact that the MPs have a lot of different issues on their plates, and a lot more important issues from their perspective, obviously, as well. And no one can understand, can know everything of every single matter in the world. And gambling world is or iGaming gambling, it's a different kind of industry as well. But anyway, lack of knowledge, lack of understanding, that's the basic reason. Plus lobbying. I mean, traditional media in Finland, they've been, well, really active with their lobbying efforts, and for to take nothing from them, they've achieved very well. I mean, it's not good for the gambling industry, the marketing regulation itself. But I can understand where it comes from, where the regulation comes from, and how we went all the way to that point. Plus, we must take into consideration that the current law, obviously, we've benchmarked, or Finland has benchmarked Sweden the closest. But that being said, the existing regulation have still served as a starting point. And in the existing regulation, well, for example, affiliates aren't allowed, bonuses aren't allowed, and well, marketing on traditional media is rather liberal. So that's the starting point as well. So it's easy to understand where, if you understand where we come from, what forces have affected the process by lobbying and otherwise, and what's at stake politically and otherwise. It makes sense. I don't say that I'm a big fan of these marketing solutions, but I can understand where they come from.
I was reading a really interesting piece this morning, actually, on, I say it wasn't really an article, it was an opinion article on Casino Reports, which is doing some very nice content. I hate using the term content, but they've done some really nice stuff. But it was about the pointlessness of certain types of advertising bans. And it made a really, really good point, because like there's, I think it's New Jersey, where they're talking about banning advertising hoardings, you know, like billboards, traditional billboards, around colleges, schools, etc. And the guy that wrote it, and I am paraphrasing here and I'm inserting my own swearing, points out just how fucking pointless it is. Because, like, I'm pretty sure Steak aren't advertising on any billboards, but have you seen how they're using social media to market? It's like every fucking cat video you see at the moment has Steak across the bottom of it. And I watch a lot of cat videos, right? But it's like, it's very clever. There's no getting around it. It's very clever. It gets everywhere across all social platforms for a tiny investment from them. And, you know, that's the marketing that you need to be jumping on, not a fucking billboard. It's kind of like a lot of these restrictive marketing legislations are over 20 years out of date in some instance. They're not thinking, all right, everybody recognizes who the vulnerable groups are, but they don't seem to make a connection with how the vulnerable groups see advertising. Because honestly, it's not kids seeing billboards you want to worry about. Kids are not reading billboards, generally. But anyway, sorry. But just what you were talking about with the restrictions on marketing and all that, that article just popped into my head because I thought you made a really, really solid point. It's just a complete waste of time, a complete waste of paper. Just because they probably filled out forms to put this through legislature. It's a waste of ink. It's a tree died for that. I mean, it might all be digital, but it might not. But you get the point there. What is the? I mean, do you know what the state of advertising is going to be? Do you know how restrictive that's all going to be in the future or not?
Well, yeah, there are still some specifics to be determined, but yeah, it's already more or less known what it will look like. So, as mentioned, traditional media relatively liberal and online rather restricted.
But I mean, but that makes sense.
Does it really? I mean,
I think that makes much more sense
oh,
than, you know what I mean.
I have no idea what you mean.
Is a vulnerable child going to see an advert in a newspaper? Probably not. Do you know what I mean?
What about on TV or radio? Basically, no one in Finland can avoid those channels. But if
TV
you
or radio is an interesting one, and I've been thinking about this a lot lately because I've got no way of finding out what I want to find out. It's like people talk about, you know, people in sports talk about, you know, if they lose their gambling industry sponsors, oh, it'd be game over. We won't be able to do this, that, or the other, right? And yet they're all getting along perfectly well and generating enormous wealth for a long time before gambling advertising became a thing, right? What I want to know is how much. Oh, come on, Fintan.
It was tobacco. Well, it was tobacco before gambling.
Yeah.
Then gambling. If you close gambling, it becomes crypto exchanges.
Well, no,
CFD
not just
brokers.
crypto. I mean, there are businesses out there. But what I want to know is how much has gambling advertising, gambling media buying skewed the media buying landscape overall? Because has it made it much, much more expensive for businesses that aren't gambling related to buy advertising?
I heard a crazy stat years ago that like gambling ads on Sky, so like Sky Sports, TV ads, the gambling ad spend on Sky Sports in the UK was some crazy percentage of all the Sky Sports advertising, but of the overall thing, like it just, the per minute cost was just ridiculous versus everybody else.
And they're buying a really specific time point as well, aren't they?
Yeah, it's
half
like
time in the football,
this I want these
between rounds
bumpers,
or
like
whatever.
the auctions that used to take place. It was run like just this insane like sealed bids type like just the level of competition around those ad slots were just insane. It's probably still are, but particularly when it was just Sky Sports in the UK with football.
Wow. I used to work at Sky Sports, as regular listeners may know. And they have a very, very nice staff canteen, which is probably the best thing about working there.
That's great to know. Just in case for the future. I really appreciate that, you know, the level of in-depth information I'm able to obtain. That's awesome.
It's that analysis that you really can't get anywhere else, and I think that's why people listen to us more than once sometimes.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Anyway, going back to the Finnish legislation. I mean, Finns still lose a lot of money on gambling, so it's a lucrative market. Even though there's only 5.5 million Finns out there, so I'm sure there will be opportunities regardless of the marketing regulation. That being said, I'm a bit worried about the legislation regarding enforcement and especially black market enforcement. Now the regulator will. We already kind of discussed how effective they've been up until this day. And the tools they will have in the future, they are extremely limited as well. And there's been lots of discussion that Finland should avoid the mistakes that were done in Sweden, where basically all enforcement was directed towards licensed operators, not the black market. In fact, at least some time ago, Sweden had something like 90 legal cases, and there was only one of them was against black market activity. All the others were against licensed operators. And ironically, the only case which was directed against the black market activity, the Swedish gambling authority lost that case in all all court levels. But anyway, without going too deep in the Swedish situation, this is exactly what has been emphasized that Finland must avoid doing. And if you look at the bill and the legislation, this is exactly the direction we are heading. The regulator will have effective tools against licensed operators, but extremely limited means to intervene with black market operations, and that's rather sad. Okay, it's been noted in the preparatory materials that the situation will be assessed at later stages, and they might consider including PSP blocking, ISP blocking at some point, and maybe some other measures. But that's 5 years in the future at best.
It's everyone's on a VPN and everyone's using crypto. Like, it makes no difference. It's going to be
crypto's the almost unbeatable variable, though, isn't it? Because I mean, if you look at what the Gambling Commission's doing in the UK, and other regulators are looking at doing it, going after the payment processors and all of that jazz, well, that will get you a small amount of success, but it will make more people look at crypto ultimately.
Yeah. One interesting niche detail which I might raise here is that the player taxation, how that will be handled. That's going to be extremely interesting. I mean, income from gambling winnings from outside of the official system, that should be taxable, and that's the status quo as well. And I'm not going to argue against that. But that being said, the formula that will be applied for taxation of gambling winnings outside of the official system, that's just ridiculous. Basically, all the players' wins will be taxable income, but losses won't be deductible. So basically, this means that if you play let's say one 10 euros round for slots, you win, let's say 20 euros, and then you play another round and you lose 10 euros. So overall, you've played 20 euros and you've got 20 euros back. But from the perspective of Finnish legislation, it doesn't work like that. From that perspective, you have 20 euros of taxable income. And now if you look at, for example, high RTP games played by, let's say, someone with a gambling problem, they might, let's say, lose 5,000 euros, and while doing that, they might produce taxable winnings of 100,000 euros or 200,000 euros. And interestingly, considering the taxation system in Finland, that would be due to some 55% of tax. And if the player who has lost this 5,000 euros, if they don't actually tell this for the Finnish tax authorities, they actually commit an aggravated tax fraud, which is punishable up to from 4 months to up to 4 years of imprisonment. So ironically, I mean, this is it. They really haven't thought this through. But basically, if the taxation laws would be enforced from the beginning of 27, we would be looking at tens of thousands of aggravated tax fraud cases in our court systems. Plus, basically, all gambling problem players would be, well, put in jail. Plus, they would have huge tax debts as well. Plus, obviously, this concerns professional sports bettors, occasional players as well. But anyway, this is just something ridiculous. And this was actually discussed in one of the subcommittees, and it was really I don't know, it was absurd reading their statements. They basically said that yes, we understand this, but this is the way to prevent gambling outside of the official system. So
wait, but the tax. Sorry, just maybe I want to make sure. So I understand, like, winnings are taxed, losses aren't deductible against it, so you get taxed on your wins. But that's for the licensed operators.
No. All the income from licensed operators is tax-free for players. but
Okay.
you know, from non-licensed operators, people will still play non-licensed operators, especially if the you know the affiliate ban is not lifted and the bonus restrictions. So
Yeah, and then I'm doing in crypto. It's in my crypto wallet.
yeah,
So really, the risk is, so in a way it actually makes it more problem gambling, because I'm less incentivized to convert my crypto to fiat and
yeah,
bring it back into the system, because I know I'm going to have this massive tax bill. So actually, my crypto money just becomes, it's better for me to keep gambling it, because I'm probably never going to, I'm either going to, I have to spend it or gamble it, because I'm never going to turn it into fiat,
yeah.
because so I don't
Plus,
end up in jail and a massive tax bill.
you are obviously less incentivized to tell this about anyone, so it might affect the willingness to get some help for gambling problems as well.
It could create a situation where the operator says, hey, if you don't keep playing, we're going to send your details to the tax authorities. Right? Like, if like a really nefarious,
Hypothetically, yes.
hypothetically, but like it creates all sorts of like dodgy dealings and all sorts of things. Wow.
So
What
that's
could possibly go wrong?
yeah, you tell me. And now that we are on the topic, I mean, to jumping back a little bit on the marketing restrictions. I mean, if you know the stereotype about Finns, we are really silent and isolated and you know all that. Even if it's, you know, raiding cats and dogs out there and people are expecting for bus and train or something, and someone else is standing underneath the stand, no way that people would go there. There would be only one people standing there. That being said, so with this new gambling act, the Finnish regulator has developed a concept of anti-social media. So basically, marketing on social media will be allowed to an extent, and the extent is that there shouldn't be any social features included in it. So basically, it still remains to be seen how this will be enforced and interpreted in practice. But basically, the law can be read in a manner or interpreted in a manner that any social media platform which allows liking, sharing, commenting is out of the scope. It's you know, you can't allow those features. So I'm always, you know, when talking about the Finnish marketing restrictions and all this, I'm bringing this up that in Finland we have actually developed this this concept of antisocial social media.
So basically, you could only buy banner ads.
No,
Because
you could.
any paid, any organic social media has all those social features. Most social channels, their paid ads typically have those built in automatically as well. So effectively, if you're only ending up with like an ad unit, which
Yeah, but
is like a basic banner ad or something.
Yeah, but with the banner ads, there's the problem that you're allowed to use those only on the platforms that have been listed as acceptable or as accepted marketing channels, and social media platforms are not included there. So basically, regarding social media, I guess what one could do is, I don't know, post something, but disallow commenting, disallow liking. I don't know if it's not possible in at least, you know, most of the social media.
I think you can disable
platforms.
comments on a lot of them, but not likes.
Yeah, and it's the same with reshares.
Yeah. So what that's an interesting, because then you think that the next one then would be like micro influencers, but then that's affiliates. If they're not getting paid for performance.
Yeah, I mean, influencers are, you know, they will be prohibited on their own social media channels. There's it remains to be seen what the regulators' intention has been, but there is currently, I don't know if we should call it a loophole, but the current proposed legislation allows operators using the influencers on their own, on operators' own social media channels. So let's say an operator could hire a social media influencer to do a content on their own social media channels, but the same social media influencer couldn't utilize their own social media channels and basically fan base for gambling marketing purposes.
But if the influencers on the platform social media, doesn't comments and likes then have to be disabled?
Yes.
So basically
yeah,
it ends up
basically what's the point there?
Yeah. Unless it's like their main website and it's their blog or something like that, and they've kind of set up the blog in a certain way.
Yeah, that kind of stuff indeed.
Okay, interesting. So obviously the state monopoly, Veikkaus, I'll probably butchered the pronunciation. What's going to happen to them? Are they sticking around, dissolving? Everyone looking for a new job?
Veikkaus operations have already divided in several parts. So basically, as the Finnish gambling market will be divided in two sections, there's going to be the exclusive right side. So basically lottery games, physical casino games in Finland and those. And then there's going to be the actual licensing side, the gambling license side, which includes basically all the other gaming verticals. So under one entity, Veikkaus will have monopoly from lottery games and physical casino games in Finland, and on the other hand, they will also participate in the licensed market under another entity. Now, obviously, competition neutrality and all that is a bit in quest. There's been questions whether that can be guaranteed, because the Veikkaus entity, let's call it licensing Veikkaus. Now, licensing Veikkaus cannot benefit from the operations of the monopoly Veikkaus, and that's gonna be a bit tricky. I mean, it can be achieved in practice, but they have to be extremely careful with everything they do.
So it's got to be at an arm's length between the two entities. Okay. Well, they just like charge for advertising or something, and then just crack on from there, right?
Yeah, that really remains to be seen, and it's really interesting. I mean, Veikkaus obviously have a huge brand recognition in Finland. Basically, everyone in Finland knows Veikkaus brand, and it's really one of the most appreciated brands in Finland. Now, Veikkaus will be allowed to transform their existing customer database from those customers who have actually used games that will be under the licensing side of the new regulation. So basically, anyone who have ever played online slots, online casino, online betting games on Veikkaus, those customers will be transferred to the new Veikkaus, and that will be obviously quite a head start, because currently Veikkaus has something like 2.6 million registered users in Finland, which is considerable considering that there are something like 4 million over 18-year-old Finns currently out of a total of 5.5 million.
All over again, isn't it?
But yeah, anyway, and I mean, obviously Veikkaus is doing their best to get as big head start as possible, and they've been signing, long-term sponsorship deals, and there's been discussion whether that's fair and all that. But after all, there are other companies doing that as well. Just a few days ago, for example, PAF, they published a cooperation deal with Kimi Räikkönen, the former Formula One famous Formula One driver, and there's been other deals as well behind the scenes. But yeah, it's gonna be really interesting, how big Veikkaus head start will be in the new licensing market.
Interesting. Is there, like, obviously what happened in the Netherlands was the two state operators got their licenses first, so they could start advertising. So they had like a 3-4, maybe even 5 month head start on a lot of brands. I think the Finns probably a bit more straight shooting and gives everybody a
Yeah,
fair chance. Or
no,
how do you think?
I don't see that happening. At least we've been advising our clients to apply for a license from the first day of 26, so that it's for sure that they will get the license among the first ones. The license applications will be dealt with the first come first served principle, and Veikkaus will not be given any preference, though it's rather likely that Veikkaus will file their license applications on the 1st of January 26 when it becomes possible.
I'm sure.
But anyway, I have no doubts that anyone who files their license applications during the first few days will be allowed to commence their operations when the market actually opens in the beginning of 27. It's 1 year transition period. And okay, it's a long time, but at the same time, this is a major bureaucratic exercise in Finland. Something like that haven't been done in Finland. There's really not that much knowledge. And if you consider the fact that the regulator has to actually recruit a lot of new persons, and it's a safe guess that great majority of these have no prior expertise with gambling, iGaming whatsoever. They might be experts on administrative law or something like that, but they have no special knowledge of the field. So there definitely will be some road bumps on the way, and for that reason, we always advise that the license application should be left as early as possible, preferable on 1st of January 26.
I think what's going to be really interesting here, amongst many other things, I think one of the really interesting things is going to be seeing a market open that has had an incumbent monopoly and also a relatively small number of people, large market, small amount of people, but what effect that has on player acquisition costs for the new entrants. I think that's going to be really interesting.
Yeah.
And potentially terrifying, of course, because, essentially what you've got is the monopoly knows who the players are already, obviously, and everybody else is going to want those players. It's like, okay, come and get them if you can. But yeah.
Well, it's a good time to be a newspaper, good time to be a TV channel, good time to be a radio station.
Good time to own a billboard.
Good time to be a sports, world famous sports person. Like that's.
Maybe we should try and get a Finland sponsor.
Fine. I'll do this from a sauna. No problems at all.
All the important deals are done in sauna in Finland. So
yeah, just me and John sat in plunge pool.
Well, I don't know about that, but
I'm pretty sure our listeners can't think of anything they'd like to see less.
Audio only. Wouldn't want to intimidate people.
And no, that's very fair of you, and that's why you're such a good co-host, Fintan, because you're always thinking of others.
I'm generous like that. This is brilliant, Antti. So look, it's great to see things progress so much. It looks like we're nearly there. I think if I went back and checked like your first episode, I think the timeline seemed pretty on point from your original predictions, which is. You've got your finger on the pulse here. Where can people, if anybody wants to follow up and's got lots of questions about Finland, where can people find you?
I'm rather easy to find from LinkedIn, for example. So I'm happy to engage in conversation with anyone interested about the Finnish market.
Speaking of LinkedIn, actually, an eagle-eared listener did point out to me your brother's post recently regarding child labour laws in Finland, and how you and he basically got around them to start your first venture. But that's actually a lovely story. Would you mind sharing it now? Would that be okay?
I think I leave that to my brother to comment on.
Oh, you cop out, lightweight. We've never had his brother on, actually.
Yeah, you should sometime.
Should get you both on. See if you'll have a fight in front of us.
No,
Let's fight all the time.
Yeah, the thing with my brother is we always, when someone asks if we work together, we always reply that not that much. But if you really think about it, we've been working a lot together. Ever since we were 12, 13-year-olds when we kind of had the first business ventures together. And ever since we've been involved in if not in the same workplace, then in similar kind of projects and all that. It's great to have Heikki around, because I know his strengths, and obviously I can trust him with matters, and I know how he functions, and he knows the same about me. And we are currently employed both by legal gaming attorneys at law, so it's been great, and that's no coincidence either.
Fintan very much knows how I function as well, which is poorly.
Function's a big word.
It really is. I've got about an hour a day of usefulness. What's the age difference between you and Heikki?
2 years.
He's older.
Everyone always says that. No, I'm older. I'm actually turning 40. Yeah, I'm turning 40 in a couple of days.
You'll have to send me your moisturizer that you're using, because that doesn't look 40, mate. Good work.
Yeah, I'm still 39, so it shouldn't look like 40.
That'll be it. But you wait. You'll wake up that day and you'll look like an old man's scrotum.
Yeah, I've got a lot of white hairs in my in my beard and every now and then.
Because you've got that wonderful dichotomy of a bit of white here, a bit of white here, and the cherubic face of a teenager.
Yeah, but basically all these have more or less come overnight in a few days. So just wait until
it's the stress of the legislation. That's what it is.
Yeah, I guess stress might have something to do with that, but not from this profession. From my previous profession, this is stress free, more or less stress free for me. I mean, compared to what it used to be as a professional sports bettor.
Could imagine.
Mm-mm. Okay. Antti, thank you so much for joining us again. Really appreciate it. And it's great to hear that the progress is being made and it's not all terrible.
No, I always concentrate on the negatives and on the possible problems. That's basically, no one is paying me for being a yes man, if you know what I mean. So I always try to pinpoint the loopholes, the possible problems, and all that. And doing so, I might sound too pessimistic. And I really have to emphasize that when it comes to the big lines regarding the Finnish regulations, there's lots of positives included in the legislation as well. I just don't usually go through them.
Dude, nobody hires a lawyer expecting good news.
I mean, I guess no one hires a lawyer to tell them that everything is all right and everything is great and life is wonderful. And
if a lawyer tells you that, there's something wrong.
Get it in writing. Oh, our legal opinion said.
Yeah. Anyway, thanks for having me, guys. Always
appreciate it, man.
Such a lovely to talk with you, and thank you very much for these insightful, the whole thing. John especially.
I'm just going to go and set fire to myself.
And cheers, guys.
Cheers, appreciate it.
If you've enjoyed this episode of the Gambling Files podcast, please find us on LinkedIn. Give us a big, juicy, succulent like. That nearly went wrong. You can find us under the name The Gambling Files Podcast. You can find us on Twitter under The Gambling Files. I think the handle is just @GamblingFiles. You can connect to myself, John Bruford, or Fintan Costello, also on LinkedIn. We're also both on Twitter. And you can find all of our previous episodes at www.thegamblingfiles.com. If you enjoyed it, please share. Tell your friends, tell your family, tell your colleagues, and we'll see you next time.